So good evening, everyone. We are back to the Spirit's book. We are on book 2. And I'm going to share here. We almost finished last week the form and ubiquity of the spirits. We discussed form. We didn't discuss ubiquity. And then I told you that we were going to go into Perispirit, which is a theme that I really enjoy discussing. So I'll give you a small presentation on it, and then we come back to the Spirit book to go through the questions, because I think it's there are only a few questions on the Spirit's book, and I think the subject is very important and it's worth going a little bit deeper, and that's what we are going to try to do. But before we do that, let's finish here the forms and ubiquity with question 92. Philip.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do spirits have the gift of ubiquity? In other words, can a spirit divide itself or exist at several points in space at the same time? A spirit cannot be divided, but every spirit radiates in all directions. That is how a spirit may appear to be in several places at once. The sun is only one body, yet it radiates in all directions, and its rays of light travel great distances, but it is not divided. Do all spirits have the same power of radiation? This depends on the degree of their purity and varies greatly. Each spirit is an indivisible unit, but it has the power of extending its thought without dividing itself. It is only in this sense that spirits are ubiquitous. This capacity is like that of a spark, emitting its brightness so strongly that it can be perceived from every point on the horizon, or like individuals who can transmit orders or signals to many distant points in several different directions without changing their position or dividing themselves.
So the concept here, ubiquity, meaning can a spirit be present in two places at the same time or divide itself? A spirit cannot divide itself. A spirit is unique, but a spirit can, as the spirits say here, radiates in more than one direction. This is how a spirit may appear to be in several places at once. Now, when this was written in 1857, we didn't have examples that today make it very easy for us to understand, right? We always give the example that the president goes on TV and he's present in millions and millions of homes at the same time without being present there. So he's, as they say here, radiating in all directions, transmitting his words in all directions. So if this is possible here in the physical world, and we know that the physical world is a bad copy of the spiritual world, we can only imagine that in the spiritual world, this is not only possible, but it happens actually constantly. Now, we studied with Elmo a couple of weeks ago the mediumistic phenomena, so the incarnated spirits, because incarnated spirits also can, through either remote viewing or through it's not transfiguration, sorry. The word disappeared. When a spirit materializes somewhere else without being really present there with their physical body. Elmo, if you can help me or someone. I forgot the word.
Remember, yeah.
So these are two examples, and actually Luis discussed on his class yesterday a little bit of this. Remote viewing meaning I'm here and I go to someplace else, see what's happening there. Sorry?
Bicorporeality.
Bicorporeality. Thanks, Elmo. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Anna. Bicorporeality. Yes. So spirit can do that, but the fact that the spirit, that all spirits can do that, doesn't mean that all spirits know how to do that. Most of us, at our stage of evolution, we have no idea how to do that. But that explains, for instance, when a spirit, like example that we have very commonly in Brazil, Bezerra de Menezes, that manifests itself in several places at the same time, give messages at the several places at the same time. So a spirit can be present in more than one place. Even an incarnate spirit can be present in more than one place, but it doesn't mean that the spirit divides itself. It's just that the spirit has the ability to go to another place, radiating that place, and without leaving the original place. Now, we discussed last week that spirits move at the speed of thought. This is not what we're talking here. Because here, when you move at the speed of thought, you move from one place to the other. Here we're talking about the spirit staying in one place and manifesting or appear at the same time in another place without having left the original place they were. Okay? Questions here? Yes. Sue.
Joelle, this is Sue. This is something I've always wondered about now that I've had all these experiences. I know Jesus is, I've heard, this may not be true in Spiritism, I don't know, but that Jesus is kind of one of the main overseer of planet Earth.
Yes,
I heard,
the governor of this planet, yes, according to Spiritism also.
So my question is, there are 8 billion people, and I know several different people who channel Jesus, his messages for us, but I know so many people who pray to him, and I've experienced this occasionally. St. John is my main person, but occasionally I experience a being who presents himself to me as being Jesus, very occasionally, and he gives me guidance. I know I'm not special. I'm equal to everyone else on this planet. I just don't understand how Jesus does that, how he can give specific personal guidance to 8 billion people. He's doing that to many people at the same time, right?
Yes.
That seems hard to imagine.
What we know in Spiritism is that Jesus, of course, does not work alone. He's the governor of the planet, and he's responsible for everything that happens here and for everyone. But he works with several other spirits that work in the name of Jesus. So many people, when they think that they are receiving Jesus, they are receiving, yes, Jesus indirectly through other people. And we have to be careful also with people that think they are receiving Jesus, but they are just receiving spirits that pretend to be more evolved, to make themselves important. But this is something that we are going to study next, which is the identity of the spirit and the different categories of spirits. But the way that, we are not able yet to understand a perfected spirit. But we know that Jesus is connected to each one of us on planet Earth, to each one of us 32 billion that are on this planet, incarnated or discarnated. Take it or leave some billions, but the how does it work? We don't fully understand. We don't have the capacity to understand. We just know that it's possible. The spirits give us a brief idea of how this works, how a spirit radiates in all directions, and that allows the spirit to be present in several places at once, like a TV. You know, when you can imagine it's not really how it happens, but our concept of a TV, Jesus is speaking at a TV and everybody listen at the same time. That's not exactly how it happens, but for us to have to grasp an idea, it's more or less the concept. Okay.
Thank you, Joel. That has a lot of interesting ideas. I just want to quickly say one thing you said reminded me of a story of In the Greater World, where the man wakes up and says he was visited in his dreams by Mother Mary, but it was actually Cipriana who he's talking about. So I think that's similar to one of the things that you said.
Yes, exactly that. You took exactly what happened. You know, we think that we are in the presence of a superior spirit, and we are in presence of an elevated spirit, but not exactly the spirit we think.
Thank you, Joel.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So we're going to move to the Perispirit, and before we go here, I'm going to introduce you guys to a little presentation that I'm going to go over here. And I want to mention that this is part of a presentation that Dr. Sonia Doi gave in the lecture by the United States Spiritists Federation a couple of months ago, that she sent me the slides. Sorry, before I'm going to answer Anna's question. Bicorpority and transfiguration are not the same thing, Anna. Transfiguration is when a medium transforms itself and looks someone different, the spirit communicating, resembles the spirit communicating, or resembling someone else. You know, the example, you watch the lecture, the example that Elaha gave was the transfiguration of the mountain that Jesus went with the apostles, and then they saw a different person there, right? That's transfiguration. Bicorpority is being two places at the same time. Okay.
Thanks.
So the Perispirit. We're going to go through this quick presentation here because I think it covers well what is the Perispirit, and then we go back to the Spirit's book to discuss the questions. Okay. So the Perispirit is the subtle fluidic body of the spirit and connects the spirit to the physical body. So it's our spiritual body. The soul is united with the body at conception by the Perispirit. Here, again, the word soul used in the sense of the spirit that we discussed last week with Luis. According to Spiritism, we use soul as an incarnated spirit, but you find in what is the Spiritism, soul being defined as the spirit in the part of the creation of the spiritual principle. So the spirit comes with the Perispirit. And only the death of the body can break the connection between body and spirit. The spirit lives with the Perispirit. This is question 344 of the Spirit's book. So the source of the Perispirit, the fluidic body of the spirits, is a product of the cosmic fluid, which condenses around an intelligent focus. So the spirit unites with the cosmic fluid and forms the Perispirit. The physical body also originates from the same cosmic fluid condensed in the form of tangible matter. Okay, this is from Genesis. Although the Perispirit and the physical body originate from the same primitive element, they are different forms of matter. Okay, the physical body, it's all with matter that belongs to this planet and is all the same. The nature of the fluidic body varies with the degree of moral advancement of the spirits, not identical for all the spirits in the same world. And this is important. When we go back, when we are talking about the spirits in the spiritual world around planet Earth, the nature of their Perispirit varies with the moral evolvement of the spirit. We'll see more about that. Sometimes the fluidic body is so dense that it gets confused with the material body, and the discarnate spirits believe they are still alive. Well, so we see many cases of spirits that people that die and have no idea of the death, so they wake up in the spiritual world, and because they see their spiritual body or perispirit that looks exactly the same of the physical body they just left behind, they are sure that they are still alive. You know, in the beginning of the movie Ghost, it's a very good example of how he behaves right after he's killed, and he thinks that he's still alive, and he looks around, and then he starts understanding the process. Many spirits may take a very long time to understand that they are dead because they see their physical body and they don't believe in life after death in many cases. But different from the perispirit, the physical body of all beings is formed by the same elements independent of the spirit degree of evolvement. Here on Earth, our physical bodies are all the same. Again, with the differences, but the matter that forms our physical body are the same. And we just studied the DNA, right? Actually, we are very close even to the animals, right? That are here on Earth. So we also have the mental body, which André Luiz brings in the Evolution of Two Worlds, chapter 2, which is the spirit body is not a reflection of the physical body. First, let's understand this. In fact, it is the physical body that reflects the spiritual body, which in turn portrays the mental body that presides its formation. So the perispirit is formed from this mental body, which is another body that we will, if we study deeper how the perispirit works and the different bodies that we have in the spiritual world, we are going to find the, you know, if you go to the exoterics, they talk about the divine body, they talk about the body, the mental body, the astral body, the double etheric. Allan Kardec talks only about the spirit and perispirit. André Luiz talks about the mental body, talks about the spiritual body, perispirit, and psychosoma. So again, we still have a lot to learn, and there is a very good small paragraph that I brought by the end of this presentation that Emmanuel talks to us about our lack of ability to fully understand the perispirit, okay? So the interaction spirit-body is established by the mind that transmits the impulses of thought to the brain via the perispirit. This is also Evolution in Two Worlds by André Luiz and Between Heaven and Earth. So you see here that the mind transmits the impulses to the brain via the perispirit, again, the mind in the spirit, and that's where it's transmitted to the rest of the body. We'll see here this. Under the command of the mind, all cells, tissues, and organs of the physical body are integrated by the nervous system, and their functions are controlled by hormones, okay? So you have all the glands, the thyroid gland, the pituitary gland, the pancreas, the adrenal gland, the ovary, the testicles, and so on and so forth, that everything comes from the mind to the brain and from the brain to the organs. You see here that we have 7 main vital centers. The perispirit is governed by 7 vital centers, which are the crown on top of the top of our head, the cerebral on our forehead, the laryngeal on our throat, the cardiac on around our heart, the gastric, the splenic, and the genesic on our sexual organs. These are the main connections between the physical world, the physical body, and the spiritual body. Of course, There are many more than that, but these are the main ones. And the more to the top, the more it vibrates and connects and functions in connection with the spiritual world and with our perispirit. Okay, so the perispirit is a vehicle of electric cells, which we can define as an electromagnetic field in which thought vibrates in a closed circuit. It is between heaven and earth, which is the book After Liberation. So the perispirit establishes the interactions with the physical body under the command of the vital centers. The crown center expresses the forces received from the incarnated spirit, from the spiritual realm and cosmic fluid. The crown center, the one on top of our head here, and transfers them to all other centers and through the organic plexuses to the nerves, thereby moving this energy through the entire physical body. So I'm going to read here from the book Roadmap by the Spirit Emmanuel through the psychography of Francisco Xavier. Roteiro, for those that are interested in the one in Portuguese. How will the subtle fabric of the spiritual garment be that humans will wear beyond death? Both is the attempt to report on the matter to the incarnated companions, as difficult as it would be to clarify to the caterpillar with respect to what it will be after overcoming the inertia of the chrysalis. Glued to the ground or to the foliage, crawling heavily, the insect does not suspect that it carries the germs of its own wings. The perispirit is also an organized body that, representing the fundamental mode of existence for man, subsists beyond the sepulchre according to its specific weight, formed by chemical substances that transcend the stoichiogenetic series known until now by earthly science. It is a rarefied matter apparatus, changing according to the vibratory pattern of the internal field. Delicate organism of extreme plastic power, it changes under the command of thought. It is necessary, however, to emphasize that power only exists where agility and skills prevail, that only experience can confer. In primitive, ignorant, and idle minds, such garment is characterized by its pasty features, a true continuation of the physical body, still animalized or sick. Mental progress is the great source of renewal to the equipment of the spirit in any evolutionary plan. The perispirit, as to the somatic form, obeys the laws of gravity in the plane to which it's tuned. Our impulses, emotions, passions, and virtues are faithfully expressed in it. For this reason, for centuries and centuries, we will linger in the spheres of carnal struggle or in the regions bordering them, purifying our clothing and embellishing it in order to prepare, according to Jesus' teachings, our wedding garment for the banquet of divine service. So I thought that it was a very good presentation of the perispirit. How little do we know about our perispirit? It's like trying to making the caterpillar understands how it will become a butterfly, as Emmanuel says very well here. And the different types of perispirits, as the more we evolve, the more ethereal it becomes, and we'll see this in the questions and answers, and the less dense also it will become. Okay? So the more we have brightness, the more we evolve. So now, after this brief presentation, we go back to the Spirit's book. Okay, let me share here. And we are going to study the perispirit, and you can ask your questions if doubts remain. I just wanted to give a good introduction of the Perispirit. I thought the presentation was very interesting because it brings a lot of information. And now we're going to go to the Spirit's book and questions by Kardec about the Perispirit. Remember, here Kardec is starting to explore this idea of us having a spiritual body or the Perispirit. Sorry, Philip, please.
93. Is the spirit uncovered, or is it enveloped in a substance of some kind, as postulated by some? The spirit is enveloped in a vaporous substance, as you perceive it, although it would seem too heavy and cumbersome to us. It is sufficiently vaporous to allow a spirit to float in the atmosphere and travel through space as it so desires. As the seed of a fruit is surrounded by the perispirum, the spirit is surrounded by an envelope that, by analogy, may be called the perispirit.
So the term perispirit comes from this word perisperm, right? That it's a nutritive tissue derived from the nucleus of the fruit. Some important concepts here is that the spirit, when we're talking about the spirit, is not the incarnated being. The spirit is enveloped in a vaporous substance as you perceive it. The perispirit is not inside our physical body. The spirit is not inside our physical body. It's associated with the physical body, connected to the physical body through the main cords and through what we discuss here, the centers of energy, the chakras, as the Hindus call it. And this connection is made cell by cell. And I know Luis asked this question to, I don't remember who was the speaker, one of the speakers of the United States State Spiritist Federation lectures. And but the main cord is the silver cord, which is the last one to be disconnected when the perispirit disconnects from the physical body and the physical body dies. Once the perispirit is disconnected from the physical body, there is no way to reconnect. There is no resuscitation of the physical body. That will be a derogation of the natural law. That will be against the natural law, so it does not happen. What it may happen is that the spirit, the physical body may look dead, but it's not really dead. There's still, the perispirit is still connected, and it's able to, the physical body is able to recover, and a person awakes. But once the perispirit is disconnected from the physical body, there is no reconnection possible. Okay? Okay, so now I'm open for questions. You can ask questions about the presentation. Well, not that comprehensive, come on. Okay, we'll go next.
I have a question.
Sure, Paco.
Yeah, the vital centers, they are located in the perispirit or in the mental body?
The vital centers in the physical body.
Oh, in the physical body. Okay.
Yes. The crown center is on the top of your head.
No, that's the chakra, the top chakra. Yes.
Yeah, the chakras. Chakras and vital centers are the same. Vital centers is the spirit's word. Chakras is what a lot of people know it as centers of force, and comes from the Eastern religions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have the same. No, we have the vital centers as the chakra. Okay.
Yes.
And that's part of the physical body.
Yes. And these are the centers of energy that connects the physical body with the spiritual body. They are the main centers that connect the two bodies. Okay.
On this point, Johnny, isn't it reasonable to suppose, I don't have reference, maybe you do, that the perispirit also has centers of power, corresponding centers of power that maps to our physical centers of power?
Can I say something?
Yes, Elmo, go ahead.
Yeah, so it is my understanding that the so-called vital centers of energies or chakras
Uh-huh.
is actually located in the outmost layer, because I don't have a better word, of the perispirit
Oh, that's
that
good.
is so dense, materialized, that it does not return to the physical, to the perispirit, to the spiritual world. It is disintegrated with the physical body, but it's not a part of the physical body per se. It's because it all function is related with life in the physical world, because it's so dense materialized. Once we discarnate, once we die, that outmost layer also dies, if you want to use that word, but it disintegrates, does not go back to the spiritual world.
It's what's called the double etheric, right?
Correct. I'm trying to not use labels, but yeah.
So, Luis, sorry, your question again? Thanks, Elmo, but I don't know if Elmo answered.
I believe Elmo actually replied it, but my question was if there was, I believe there are centers of you call energy in English, in the physical body as well as in the perispirit, in the outer layer, as Elmo says. It makes sense to me. I don't have exact reference. I should consult the book by the thick book that I have there. Zimmerman, yes. I don't remember if, because from my perspective, our body has a number of systems. We have a chemical system, we have an electrical system. It's very, very reasonable that there are electromagnetic centers in our bodies. I mean, it's very, very, very reasonable in our physical body.
Okay.
I think it's totally reasonable to make a correlation that in the perispirit, beyond the outmost layer that has the centers of energies, there will be parts of that perispirit that have somehow a correlation with specific organs of the physical body. And I say that because the spirits will relate to them and say, I'm having headaches, and very often we have pain associated with the cause of death. So there is a correlation, member to member, organ to organ. And in some of the books, they mention specific organs in the perispirit. As an example, André Luiz had a surgery in his stomach in the spiritual world. Now, you know that André Luiz does not have a real stomach because there is no need for one, and nature is frugal. If you don't need it, you're not going to have it. But there has to be some parts, I'm not going to say organs or anything, in the perispirit that has a direct correlation with specific organs of the physical body.
Yes, actually, when you study the perispirit, when we go back to the spiritual world, we have our so-called physical organs exist for those that do not understand the concept of us in the spiritual world in the perispirit, and that's why they will feel hungry, they will feel, and they will need some sort of food that is related to our food here that we have in the physical body. They have to sleep because they get tired. So it is as we evolve, we overcome those necessities, and our sensations become more generalized in the perispirit. The perispirit does not have or need specific organs, but as in the more primitive spirits, the way they feel and act in the spiritual world is still completely correlated to the physical body on earth. Yeah. There is a question here: what shapes and maintain the shapes of the physical body? So the physical body is a copy of the perispirit. So the perispirit models the physical body. Everything that we bring, the construction of our physical body is based on our needs for this incarnation. Of course, the genetic inheritance of the parents, but the perispirit is the one that models the physical body. And the perispirit is very malleable and changes according to our evolution. We're going to see in the next questions here, right? Okay. All right, Paco.
Yeah, so the perispirit, can I visualize it? I think this gentleman said it to us. Can I visualize the perispirit as different layers? Like he said, Elmo said that the outermost layers are the ones with the vital centers, but if you go different more, the more to the center, the thinner, the less coarse the layer, and the less coarse is the perispirit.
Yeah.
Am I making sense? Can I look at it in sense of layers? Like,
yeah, actually the next question, let's Philip read the next question and we'll talk a little bit about it, because it covers what you asked a little bit. So I want to, just for us to get through the next question before we discuss that, Paco. Go, Philip.
94. From where does the spirit draw its semi-material envelope? From the universal fluid of each world. For this reason, the perispirit is not the same in every world. When traveling from one world to another, the spirit changes its envelope so you change your clothing, as you change your clothing. When spirits of higher worlds visit us, do they adopt a more material perispirit? Yes, they must clothe themselves with your matter in order to be able to enter your world, as we have already said.
So this covers a little bit what Paco was asking here. So the perispirit is formed by the universal fluid, but the perispirit is adapted to each world we are present. So as the spirits say here, when traveling from one world to another, the spirit changes its envelope. The perispirit is, the material of the perispirit is very ethereal, very fluid, and interchangeable according to the world we live. And as Elmo mentioned already, the out layers, the outmost parts of the perispirit belongs to the physical world, and we don't take it back to the spiritual world. Talking about layers, Paco, it's not exactly, but it is a good representation of what would be the perispirit, right? Not many some people don't like this idea of representing the perispirit as an onion with several layers, right? Because that's not exactly how it is. But it's, you know, it makes it easier for us to understand. It's not a problem.
Yeah, it helps.
Okay.
It helps. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps. But we need to understand that it's not exactly like that.
Exactly.
It's not an onion.
Layers,
Okay.
but with the caveat that it's not so. Yeah. Okay. I got. Yeah. Yes. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. And talking about the more evolved we go, the more ethereal our perispirit becomes. So when a more evolved spirit has to incarnate on a world like ours, it is said that it took Jesus 1,000 years to be able to incarnate here, to go from perfect spirit to adapt his perispirit to the earth's matter, so he could incarnate. This is said, I don't know where, so don't ask me for references, please. Luis.
Johnny, regarding Paco's very important point, very lucid question, the way I understand those diagrams of layers, just the onion thing is just a way to explain. My view is that they are functional layers. So this is a model of the perispirit that we make in order to explain the different functions. And the layer are functional parts of this perispirit, not necessarily external or internal. They are functional sections. And like the double etheric, when we discarnate, a part of the perispirit just disappear. Not external in the sense that it's closer to the tangible matter, using the expression of João's presentation. So I suggest you see it as a functional model, not as a physical layered thing.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Luis. Any other questions? Yes, Sue.
Thank you, Joel. Where it says, when spirits of higher worlds visit us, when it keeps using the word world here, is that referring to planets in the universe? And there are planets that are more evolved than ours?
Yes.
And I have a second part to the question. The whole series of books that is Andre Louise telling us about the spirit world, where is he located when he's experiencing those things? Is that a planet?
No, Andre Louise is based on the spiritual plane around Earth, a spiritual colony called No Solar, Our Home. That is the first book of the series. That for you to understand Andre Louise' origin and how he started, I recommend that you buy that and read that book called No Solar, Our Home. They used in English No Solar because it's so famous. It's one of the best sellers. It's the best seller in Spiritism in Brazil. So that's why they chose to keep the name as they translated. There is a movie also called No Solar. You can find it. I believe you can find it on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix. But the book is better than the movie, of course. So that's a spiritual colony above the city of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. That when Andre Luiz' last incarnation was in Rio in the beginning of the 20th century, and he died or discarnated and was taken to this spiritual colony. And the spirits tell us that above all cities in the here on planet Earth, you find spiritual colonies. Of course, there are many more spirits, but the spiritual planes in the spiritual world above planet Earth or around planet Earth, also there are different planes of existence. you are reading in the greater world, so you see them traveling through the lower zones, which are where suffering, struggling spirits stay. The type of colonies like Nos Solar are the first organized colonies where spirits congregate in the spiritual world to learn to prepare themselves for to evolve and to prepare themselves for a new incarnation. So when they talk here about spirits of higher world visiting us, then they're talking different planets, more evolved planets. Yes, they need to adopt a more material perispirit because of the conditions of this planet. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, that's helpful.
All right. Okay. Last one, Philip.
95. Does the semi-material envelope of the spirit assume specific forms? And can it ever become perceptual to us? Yes, it can assume any form that the spirit may choose. This is how a spirit is sometimes able to make itself visible to you, whether in dreams or when awake, and can assume a form that may be visible and even tangible.
Okay. So now the forms that the spirit can assume in the spiritual world. This is also something that we talk frequently, right? So you are in the spiritual world, and you are having an experience in the spirit world. And the example Elmo always gives, his grandmother comes to talk to him. She's going to look like the way that Elmo can see and recognize her. She's not going to appear to him like a 15-year-old, because then he wouldn't recognize her. So doesn't mean that that's the form that she's using in the spiritual world in her regular life there, but it's the form that she's going to present herself so he can recognize her. Also, the perispirit can lose its form. We talk about the ovoids, which is the spirits that end up having a mono idea and consume its form and becomes an ovoid form, which are spirits that have only one fixed idea. And actually, that the movie Soul, that very nice movie that just won the Oscar for best animated feature, there is a scene that there is a bunch of ovoids there, it's spirits that have mono ideas. And the main character asks about them, and they talk about it. It's not a spiritist movie. People have no idea, that did the movie have no idea about spiritism, but the truth is everywhere. So whoever inspired them to write about it had the notion of the form of the perispirit, losing the form of perispirit and assuming the form on an ovoid. Also, just to take this opportunity to announce our new endeavor that Daniela is going to direct, that actually is a continuation of a project, but now virtual. We are going back to our book club starting on Wednesday the 19th, and we are going to, Daniela is going to study and conduct And Life Goes On, which is the last book of the André Luiz Life in the Spiritual World collection. It's a romance, very good romance to use it in a book club. And spoiler alert, they appear in the spiritual world, and eventually they learn that the way that we present ourselves in the spiritual world is at the age we feel more comfortable in our last incarnation. Normally, for most of us, I've said this many times, somewhere between 30 and 50 years old. That's where we felt more comfortable with our physical appearance and status in our last incarnation. So you're all invited. We are going to send more information, but the book club is back. virtually now, starting on May 19 at 7 p.m. Okay. Now, before we're not going to go to the next item, I just want to finish here talking about some properties of the Perispirit. Perispirit has 7 main properties that I would like to go over for you guys to have a better understanding. So, first one, plasticity, which is the ability of the Perispirit to adjust to the command of the mind. So the mind defines the form of the Perispirit, and that's where you have the ovoids, you have the zoanthropy, lycanthropy, which is spirits that appear like animals. These are all derives from plasticity. Renato, I saw that you have a question, but I have to go through all the properties before we go to the questions. So the second one is density. So the spirit has weight and occupies a place in space. So the Perispirit has weight. The famous 21 grams is an experience that they did right up before and after death, and the incarnated body lost 21 grams. So they deducted that this is the weight of the Perispirit. Again, take it with a grain of salt, because that's not a proved experience. Luminosity, which is directly related to density. The more evolved, the more luminosity the spirit will have. Spirits that are very backwards, primitive spirits, have no light, they are very dark. Evolved spirits have a lot of light, and that's how we talked about this last week. The idea of angels came, right, because we saw the light that predominates on the head, and behind the spirit that gives the idea of the wings and the halo. Penetrability. So spirits, after a certain level of evolution, they can go through any obstacles. They can cross matter in the physical plane. And they can produce noises, right? The physical effect, or intellectual effects by the connection with the mediums in mediumistic manifestations. So that's the penetrability. Visibility, the Perispirit is normally invisible for us incarnates, except for the sea mediums that can see spirits. But in cases of materialization, they can present themselves to all of us. So as we always say, if a spirit materializes, all of us are going to see. Spirits come here in their normal figure. Only the sea mediums will see them. Sensibility, meaning the spirits receive the impressions, external impressions, and feels all around. In the discarnate spirit, the sensations and perceptions are general. They are captured in all parts of the Perispirit. They are not localized like the physical body. But of course, the spirits that do not understand the concept, they will feel that they are seeing with their spiritual eyes, they are hearing with their spiritual ears, but in reality, it is all spread throughout the Perispirit. And the last one, expansibility. The spirit, as we just studied, Perispirit is not divisible, but it can expand. It can expand its capacity of seeing and of perception, and the ability of being present in more than one place by the phenomena of bicorpority that we talked about. Gives us the impression that the Perispirit can, or the spirit can divide itself, as it seems in two different places, but it's not. Okay, so now we go in order. First one was actually the question from Renato.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
And just want to clarify something. So the development of the perispirit is a to become more ethereal, as you mentioned, like Jesus and so forth, is a moral path. Let's put that way. The more morally evolved you are, the more ethereal your perispirit become, or besides morally your moral aspect, it's also made from a different fluid, from a different fluid or whatever.
It's moral. The evolution of the spirit, the luminosity is all moral. It's the moral evolvement of the spirit. So the more morally you are evolved, the more ethereal your perispirit becomes.
But it's not made from a different, because if you are more morally evolved, you'll be reincarnating different worlds, planets, that the composition, the fluid that made that perispirit is different from the one that we have here, right? So it's not the same.
It's not the same, but it continues to be more ethereal for more evolved spirits and less ethereal for less evolved spirits. It's just adapted to the world you are in.
Thanks.
The second one before you, Philip, was from someone here in the site. Okay, so he's saying that forget about the question.
My question is very simple.
Yours, Philip, yes.
The characteristic number 6, I didn't understand the name you said.
Sensibility.
Oh, sensibility, thank you.
Yes. And actually Paco asked about it, 6 and 7, right? 6 is sensibility, 7 is expansibility. The characteristic of expand itself. Okay, Paco? All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
How do I lower my hand?
Already did.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, I hope you all had a better understanding of our spiritual body, the perispirit. It's a very complex subject. There, we quickly mentioned the book by Zalmino Zimmerman, which is of course not translated into English because it's a 700-page book. And for someone to translate it is a lot of work. So you can imagine how much you can spend studying the perispirit. You can spend years and years studying it. So we try to condensate everything in one class, one study. Next week we start studying different orders of spirits, the spirit hierarchy, which is also a very interesting subject, and that gives a lot of food for thought, because again, we like to put things in boxes, and if we try to put different orders of spirits in boxes, we're going to get very confused. So bring an open mind to the analysis that Kardec and the spirits make of the different orders of spirits here. Okay. So before we do our final prayer, just I mentioned the book club. So that starts not this Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 19th. Okay. The lecture on Saturday, for those, he's coming back for the third time, Dr. Vicente Pessoa, who is an infectious disease physician and the current vice president of the Spiritist Medical Association of Goiânia, but also an amateur astronomer, a very big fan of Camille Flammarion, who was at the time of Kardec, was incarnated and wrote some Spiritist books, a very decorated astronomer of the time of Kardec, and Galileo Galilei in a previous incarnation. not Dr. Vicente Pessoa, Camilo Flammarion. And he's going to talk about the plurality of inhabited worlds from Flammarion to the present time. You know, I know you always have questions about all the worlds inhabited, how does it work? So I hope Dr. Vicente Pessoa, who is a very good lecturer, will cover all these on Saturday, and you are all invited. This Sunday, it's the second Sunday of the month, so we are going to study the Gospel according to Spiritism, okay? And finally, mark your calendars, June 6 and 7, the 15th US Spiritist Symposium from 2:30 to 5:30 our time, Saturday and Sunday, that like the previous symposiums, who have different people participating. You know, Jussara will be, of course, a big part of it. And the theme is, of course, 160 years of the book, the Medium's book. So it's mediums and mediumship, the main theme of the symposium this year, okay? I'll be part of a Q&A session. You know, I've been training with our Q&A sessions on Sunday, so they invited me to the panel, Spiritism, Ask Me Anything. So we will be talking about it from here to then. Is again, June 6th and 7th is a Saturday and Sunday, 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. Okay, Carol, a final prayer, please.
June 5th.
Sure.
6th and 7th.
Great. Thank you, John. Infinite Creator and First Cause, we are grateful to be together this evening to share our studies of the Spirit's book. We are grateful for the topic of the Perispirit, which we are going to be delving into a lot more throughout our studies. We are grateful to know that Jesus is the governor of the planet, and many helpers work through Jesus to help us. We are grateful to learn of the specifics about the Perispirit, and there's more to come. We give thanks to our spiritual benefactors, the good spirits, the helpers, the healers, the mentors, and our guardian angels. We are grateful for their guidance and helping us to move forward, helping us to create a positive vibration within us, to keep steady, to keep grounded, and to keep moving forward in a positive way. We are grateful to be together to share this as a group, as a community, and to share into the greater world the perspective of Spiritism. May we continue throughout the week with our prayers, with our studies, with our mindfulness, and may we share with others through our discernment as others are able to receive. We are grateful for all that we have been given, and all that we shall be given. We humbly thank each and every person to do their part as well. We ask now, as we close this portion of the meeting, to go safely and to go forward to our family, friends, and loved ones with protection surrounding us. May our families also be protected, our friends, our loved ones, and our co-workers as well. We are so grateful for all that we have received and those that are helping us. As we close now, may we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us. And may we also humbly remind ourselves to be beacons of light in the world. Go forth now in peace. So be it.